It's time for another head-bangingly fun episode of the Hardcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'm joined by Victor.
You can't kill the metal.
Tonight's review/discussion is about the 2009 Rocktober release, Brutal Legend, developed by Double Fine and published by Electronic Arts. A third-person action-adventure game that incorporates real-time strategy elements. The player controls Eddie Riggs, voiced by Jack Black, a roadie who is transported into a heavy metal fantasy world. Eddie becomes this world's savior, leading the enslaved humans against their demonic oppressors. The game features the voices of Lemmy Kilmister, Rob Halford, Ozzy Osbourne, Lita Ford, and Tim Curry. So Victor, did Brutal Legend rock your world, or did it leave you banging your head against the wall?
Actually, I did a little bit of both, man. This game had a...
Those two going hand in hand, you know?
Pretty much, yeah. The game had a lot of hype behind it. A lot of Tim Schafer fans, a lot of Jack Black fans, and a lot of metal fans. This game is pretty much an homage to metal music.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like TV shows like Metalocalypse, then you're definitely going to like the comedy from this too. So the comedy is kind of similar.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen a few trailers for it. I was like, hey, it might be cool, you know, and then I played the demo and... The demo actually I really enjoyed the demo. I wanted to buy it after that. I mean,
yeah, the demo was good.
I mean, I don't know if I was willing to pay $60. Chris said he let me borrow it after he finished it, so I was like, cool, man. We played it. What was your initial thoughts on it?
Well, initially I'm like, oh, it's the demo all over again. Cool.
Yeah.
You know? And
basically get to play the whole demo from the beginning.
I thought the video in the beginning with Jack Black and the record store was kind of cool at first, but then it got...
Oh, the intro, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, you know, a little bit. I kind of liked what they were trying to do, but at the same time, it was kind of cheesy at the same time.
Yeah.
But overall, it was okay.
It's Jack Black. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's Jack Black. I didn't feel like he was working off any kind of script or anything. He was just kind of being Jack Black. I did kind of like the way they set up the menu system, how it's like a record, like an LP,
yeah.
You know, and then they open
it's
it
like
up.
They actually filmed it for real. Flipped on the menu, and you get either fast forward or go backwards to the video.
I have to admit, when it was up for pre-order, they had the LP, whatever, the case for it.
Yeah, if I would have known that menu, I would have probably wanted to get that thing.
Yeah, but now knowing what I know about the game, I'm probably going to trade it in or something.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter if I have that packaging anymore. Yeah, go ahead and get into, I guess, the story and stuff.
Yeah. All right, so basically, Eddie's the roadie for this band. Everybody's talking about, like, he's the best in the business. Eddie Riggs, no one can beat him. He's the best roadie, hands down. And then he was talking to some one guy, and he's like, I can't fix anything. The band started playing is this cheesy-ass metal pop band, and he's like, but I can't fix that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. And then some shit happens. He gets crushed by something, and then something happens that transports him into like a different dimension, pretty much.
Well, basically, he gets some blood, drips into his belt buckle, which has got like kind of like the face of a demon or whatever, like Ormagoden or whatever.
Ormagoden, yeah.
And then it summons Ormagoden, and he shows up and basically wrecks the stage, and Eddie gets transported into this other dimension, this fantasy, heavy metal fantasy world.
That beast was looking pretty cool, too. He's like got fire coming out of pipes along his back, and he can breathe fire and shit. He looks pretty cool. Basically, he gets into this alternate dimension or whatever, and it's this like whole metal world. There's like a bunch of skulls everywhere, and everything's like very... I don't even know how to describe it.
In the interviews with Tim Schafer, he said he was trying to design the world off of cover album artwork or whatever from, like, you know, heavy metal bands.
Metal albums? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if you look at the covers of heavy metal bands, they always got that kind of Frank Frazetta kind of looking covers with, like, they always got to have big swords and axes and dragons.
Right.
And
just look at a cover from,
demons.
like, Judas Priest or whatchamacallit, Iced Earth, any of those bands.
Or Ozzy Osbourne, any of that kind of stuff. There's a ton of different inspiration you could have gotten from that, and he uses it all. You can see it throughout the whole world.
Yeah. First, I wasn't really too blown away by the environment, but it got a little bit interesting. Like, I went into new areas, and I saw the scenery to change, so it wasn't bad.
Yeah, but we should talk about the characters, too.
Oh, yeah, the characters. This game has a lot of big names. Of course, you got Jack Black, Ozzy Osbourne. He's basically the guy where you buy all your upgrades from.
He's considered the guardian of metal.
Right. And then there's Lemmy from Motorhead. He's the Killmaster. He joins your team. Robert Halford from Judas Priest. He plays Lion White. He's one of the bad guys that you got to fight against. A couple others. I forgot what band Lita was from, but she's from another band.
Yeah, that's true.
But everything works out. I really liked all the characters. They all have like some type of appeal to them.
They got really good lines of dialogue too.
Yeah, that's another thing. The dialogue in this movie, I mean, in this game, it's pretty fucking funny, I gotta tell you. It has a lot of funny parts that I really enjoyed. That's probably like the best part of the game, the story, the characters, dialogue. If you buy this game, make sure you buy it for that and not for anything else. Also the music.
Yeah, and the music, definitely the music. Can't leave that out. This was a big deal to people who are old school Tim Schafer fans. They grew up playing his games, like, because he used to work for LucasArts, and he used to do stuff like Full Throttle, which was a great game. And he also did Grim Fandango, which my brother really liked that game. You know, he worked on the Monkey Island games and Day of the Tentacle, which I love Day of the Tentacle. His sense of humor and storytelling and his characters really shine through on those games, and then made a lot of people like lifelong fans of his. And now he's got his own company, Double Fine, you know, and developer. And they did Psychonauts, which, you know, has a pretty strong fan following, but didn't exactly do very well. Now they released this game, but they got EA backing it up. So, of course, you know, you had that juggernaut with the promotion and with the commercials and the trailers and getting the hype up and the buzz up.
And the killer soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, and the killer soundtrack. And of course, you got Jack Black in there. So you got a lot of people anticipating this game. A lot of people who probably wouldn't even know who the hell Tim Schafer is. The point is, I think this game is mostly for people who are the Tim Schafer fans, because the things that made his games back in the day really good weren't really the gameplay, because the gameplay was so simplistic. It was like point-and-click adventures. But then you get into this game, and the storyline is about as good as those ones. And it depends, especially even better if you like heavy metal stuff, or if you're a fan of any of the people who are doing the voices. It's not about the gameplay, it's about the story and the characters and the dialogue. If you're into that, and that's why you like Tim Schafer, I think probably already own this game, actually. So,
right. Also, if you hate Jack Black, don't let that throw you off. Play the demo, and you might actually like it.
Yeah. One thing Steven mentioned, because he didn't get to play the game, but he did play the demo. And he kept talking to us, trying to figure out if we were getting annoyed with Jack Black, because he's like, Jack Black's always talking. He's always talking. And I'm like, yeah, that's what Jack Black does. But apparently that kind of bothers him. He's not into Jack Black. I like Jack Black, but I don't love him, but I do like him. But I do understand people who find him annoying.
I mean, yeah. I understand where he was coming from, because there's this part where you're riding this huge thing down the hill, and he's constantly talking. He never stops the whole way down, so that's probably where he got it from. But like, the whole game's not like that.
No, it's not. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of story, and not all of it is about Eddie. You get a lot of big names in this game, so you get to hear them say a lot of cool stuff. And, of course, like I said, the writing is cool, and the story is decent. Actually, it's pretty good, up until maybe the end. The end kind of let me down. Even if, like you said, even if you're not totally into Jack Black, if you're digging everything else, like the heavy metal fantasy world and, you know, the list of songs and all the different people who are involved, you know, creatively or, you know, talent-wise, then you should still give it a shot. At least a rental, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say it's definitely worth a rental, if anything else.
Yeah, because the game's not that long. If you go hardcore on it, you could probably beat it in a day or two.
Yeah, I beat it in like 3 days, and I didn't really play for that long each time.
No, you didn't.
Story-wise, I really enjoyed the story. I kind of didn't like the ending that much. The story was pretty good. It kept me entertained. It kept me going, wanting to know what happened next.
But we should probably talk about some of the characters. Like, how did you feel about Lars?
He's pretty cool. He's your
stereotypical,
right? Like your stereotypical lead vocalist from like these metal bands, like Metallica or whatever. And he's leading his man. He was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you got Ophelia, which is the first character you run into in the game.
Yeah, the female, and of course Jack Black falls head over heels in love with her. It was funny. She comes out of like her robe, got one of the robes that the anime was wearing, and he's like, "Man, have I been slaying hot chicks all this time?"
Yeah, that was funny. I like that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of funny lines like that. I wish I could have gotten more from Ozzy, because he's pretty cool, but you only get to talk to him or see him whenever you go down to the shop to upgrade your car or your weapons or your moves or something.
Yeah, he had a pretty cool part though.
Overall, it was.
And a lot of his music's in the game.
Yeah, that's true. You got stuff from Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. So he's in there a lot. Many other characters?
One thing I would mention is I liked how they worked all the different factions in. How you have the headbangers, and then you have the goth guys, which are like the Drowning Doom.
Yeah.
And then you have Lion White and his guys, which is kind of like glam rock or like 80s, you know, butt rock or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, those are like the cheesy, like glitter bands.
And it's just, all of them are really over-the-top stereotypes.
And the units are pretty creative to their certain type, too. If you play with a Drowning Sorrow, everyone is wearing black, of course, and you got these...
Yeah, you got these suicidal emo bitches.
Right. And, of course, these units that actually have rain